Finishing can be a confusing topic, especially if you're a new woodturner. The finish that you decide to use on your turn piece can make or break its appearance, and also influences how your end user will, well, use it. Today I'm going to show you 3 easy finishes that will help you show off your pieces, without having to spend weeks hand sanding and without having to UV cure anything. No expensive tools or setups, no black magic, no blood sacrifices, just reliable, easy finishes. Let's get to it. Today, we're going to go through these finishes in order of the shine that they provide your finished turn piece. At the low end of the shine spectrum, we're going to start today with mineral oil and mineral oil containing products. Now, even if you're a new wood turner, you're probably familiar with the idea of mineral oil. It often shows up in your local hardware store as something like this, a cutting board oil. It may include some vitamin E added or some beeswax. There are also mineral oil containing products like Walrus oil. As for why people use mineral oil, the easiest answer to give is that this is as easy as it gets in terms of a finish. The steps are, 1, put some on. That's literally it, just put some on. Look, if you can't figure this out, power tools may not be for you, but there's hope. You can always run for public office. The number 2 reason that people like mineral oil as a finish is because it's a non-drying oil. Now we'll get to this in the cons in just a little bit, but the main thing to remember is that drying oils tend to dry exothermically, which means that they release heat as they dry. Now, this can be problematic if you live in a structure that is flammable or if you yourself cannot survive a fire. In reality, if you're just getting started on wood turning, you don't need to be worried about flammable finishes or finishes that can self-ignite just from oily rags. That's what makes mineral oil such a great finish. It's non-drying, so there's no need to worry about a fire. Now, if your shop is in an old barn that's extremely well insured and you wouldn't mind if it went up in flames, then by all means, ball up some Danish oil rags, stuff them in the bottom of a trash can, and see what happens. If you like your house at human-friendly temperatures though, mineral oil is a great finish to start out with. The number 3 reason that people choose mineral oil as a finish is because it's easy to reapply. Your customers can do this for themselves once the salad bowl leaves your possession, and it won't burn down their house either. Now, I like Walrus oil. It contains coconut oil, beeswax, and vitamin E in addition to mineral oil. I like this stuff before they started giving it to me. Full disclosure, they did give me this big jug because I asked for it, so take all of that for what it's worth. That said, I think that this is a really simple, easy to use product. Let's talk quickly about the cons of using mineral oil. Number 1, it never fully dries. That means you'll never get that perfect Danish oil hard cured finish, and you can't build it to a film on your pieces. You'll also probably want to have some shop towels handy. Since it never dries, any excess needs to be wiped off after you're done applying it. Con number 2, it can dull or obscure highly figured woods, especially darker woods. If you have a lovely piece of walnut burl that you really want to bring out the best in, this is probably not the product for you. It tends to make the figure and the overall color of the piece a little more uniform and a little more flat. So again, if you've been saving that piece of fiddleback walnut, this is probably not your best bet for a finish. The number 3 con of mineral oil is that it's slippery and a little bit messy. Because it never dries, it gets places and it stays there. If you spill some in your shop, be sure to clean it up. The escapades are bad enough, you don't want to bring them into your home workshop. So, how do you apply it? You just put some on. Seriously, that's it. I would recommend probably putting down a silicone sheet or tray or at least a couple of layers of paper towels or shop towels before you decide to go ahead and apply it on your pieces. And again, make sure to clean up any spills immediately and thoroughly. It is extremely slippery, especially on concrete and hardwood floors. Okay, moving on up the shine ladder, the next finish that we're going to talk about today is beeswax and beeswax containing products. Now, I love beeswax as a finish for a number of reasons. But I think that it's also safe to say that if this stuff is good enough for Richard Raffin, it's probably good enough for the rest of us. As far as why you'd want to use beeswax as a finish, number 1, it is super easy to apply. You get to apply it under power while your piece is spinning on the lathe. That's a huge win. You don't have to pop it off and do some meticulous hand sanding or anything like that. You literally drag the piece on the outside as the bowl is spinning, and then you massage it in with a shop towel. Now, one of the best parts about beeswax as a finish is that it is easily reapplied by your customers. I happen to love Claphams salad bowl finish, which is a beeswax and mineral oil based product, but there are a ton of them that you can get either online at your big box retailers or in a local store near you. You can also find beeswax locally. If you happen to have a local honey maker or apiarist, that's a fun word, you can go ahead and ask them for any of their excess beeswax, and they're likely to sell it to you. I got a chunk that was about the size of a 9x13 baking dish for somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 a couple of years ago. And I broke it into small chunks and just flung them loosely into my workshop, so I always have some wherever I go to look for it when I'm done turning a bowl. One of the other pros of using beeswax is that it is medium shiny. Now, you're not going to get that sort of candied apple finish necessarily, although you can if you want to melt this down and add about 1% carnauba wax to your beeswax mixture. Really what this does, though, is it highlights the natural figure of the wood without yellowing it, and it does provide a slight shine to the exterior. As for some of the drawbacks of using beeswax, number one, it's not super durable as a finish. This is probably not going to stand up to years of utensil use, and it also tends to get washed away with heavy soaps like Dawn. Number two, depending on how hot it is at the show you're going to, the heat I've found can make the shine go a little bit flat, which can hurt your sales at markets sometimes. Number three, it's not super fingerprint resistant, at least not as fingerprint resistant as you would like to see. Now, again, the magic bullet for making this stuff a little bit more durable, a little bit shinier, and a little bit more fingerprint resistant is to do a double boiler method, slowly melt this, and add just a little bit of carnauba wax. That helps it set up. In terms of application, you're going to want to sand your piece thoroughly, probably all the way up until at least 320 or 400 grit. Then, go ahead and remove the dust using the alcohol or solvent of your choosing. Next, you're literally just going to rub the beeswax on the outside of the bowl while the bowl is spinning on the lathe. Then, once you have a nice medium coat on there, take a shop towel, fold it over a couple of times, and apply it as the bowl is spinning. This will melt the beeswax directly onto the bowl. Now be careful here. I know that there are a lot of woodturners on YouTube who will use an old sock or an old shop rag to melt their beeswax in. I personally don't like to bring any cloth or steel wool anywhere near my lathe. That's just a personal safety preference. You do you. One spot that people often find tricky when finishing a bowl with beeswax is the dead center of either the inside or the outside. So what I like to do is start a little bit off center, get that part melting, push that back into the center, and then draw to the outside as normal. Then, when you're done melting the beeswax in, go ahead and remove the excess and buff with a clean chunk towel. As a hot tip, be sure to allow the bowl to cool before you handle it again. This will help you avoid putting fingerprints in your freshly melted layer of beeswax. Next, let's talk about our highest shine finish today, OB Shine Juice. Now, I've already done a full video about OB Shine Juice. You can find it in the cards or in the description down below. If you want a super in-depth explanation of what's going on in this beautiful multi-layer bottle, that's where I'd go. The basic recipe for OB Shine Juice is as follows. 1 part shellac, 1 part boiled linseed oil, 1 part denatured alcohol. Pretty simple. Shine Juice is, at its heart, a friction polish. It is not designed to be a deep, penetrating wood finish. Pro number 1 of using OB Shine Juice, it is mad shiny, like crazy shiny. When you get it right, this is one of the shiniest finishes that you can apply to anything that you turn. It also doesn't yellow the pieces too much, so this is a great way to show off a figured piece of wood that you don't expect to be in high-touch applications later on. This can really help you out with sales at craft fairs and markets. Pro number 2, you can make it at home. All of this stuff you can generally get at your local hardware store. You also don't have to be a Heisenberg-level chemist to get this stuff right. Basically just eyeball some proportions. I've even been known to take one of these squeeze bottles, squeeze all the air out, just dip it upside down in the 3 components of the finish, and suck them up until the proportions look about right. It works just fine. Pro number 3, it is easy to apply, though not quite as easy as beeswax. As far as super high gloss finishes go, this is about as easy as it gets. Okay, now to bring us back down to earth, some cons. Number 1, it is not super durable. This finish will not hold up to UV or significant utensil impact. Probably not going to be a great choice for things like doorknobs and salad bowls. That said, it is a phenomenal finish for things like display pieces. A hollow form that's going to go on a shelf, a smaller live edge bowl that is probably also going to wind up on a shelf somewhere. Things that we would generally think about as dust collectors or display pieces. This is a great way to get them super shiny without spending weeks doing hand sanding. Con number 2, denatured alcohol is getting tougher and tougher to get. Stumpy Nubs did a great video that I'll link in the description below, where he's talking about a finish that we won't mention here. But what he's mainly speaking about is the fact that a lot of governments are starting to regulate anything that puts off VOCs. Pretty much anything that smells a little bit different in your wood shop is going to be coming under fire from regulators in the next couple of years. Now, I think that there are some good things about that and some bad things about that. One of the victims of these decisions, though, is denatured alcohol. It used to be pretty easy to get in my home state of California, and now I have to bend the rules a little bit if I'm going to get some in my home shop. That's not to say that you should willfully do illegal things to get this finish. It's definitely not worth going to jail over. That said, there are some ways around the regulations. For instance, I know for a fact that denatured alcohol can be sold as a camping food or as a chemical or a paint thinner in some circumstances. It's the exact same ingredient, it just can't be labeled as denatured alcohol for home use. So, to summarize, be sure to look online for alternative uses of denatured alcohol if you're having trouble getting some at home. It can be used as a thinning agent, it can be used as a camping fuel, it can also be sold in cans at your local 7-Eleven as Four Loko. The number 3 con, and this is one of the bigger ones, especially if you don't get to turn as frequently, is that this finish does unfortunately have a shelf life. Specifically, the shellac has a shelf life. Now, I've found that the shellac, once it enters my shop and I open it, I have somewhere between 6 to 18 months, depending on when the shellac was actually manufactured, until I have to throw it out. That's just the general shelf life of shellac based on my temperature and humidity in my shop. This means that, unfortunately, you can't mix up a huge batch of OB Shine Juice and just set it aside in a 2-gallon jug somewhere in the corner of your shop. I like to mix mine in small batches using these tiny little applicator bottles. The bottles themselves are reusable if you wash them out with a little bit of isopropylene or a little bit of that precious denatured alcohol after you're done using them. Basically, every 2 to 3 months, I mix up a small batch of this stuff and get my hands all sticky. Now, as a guy with 2 toddlers, sticky hands don't bother me. But depending on how sticky you like your hands, they may bother you, so take it into account. If you want a detailed explanation about some variations on how to make this recipe and some fine-tuning of how you actually apply it on the lathe, I'm going to put a card somewhere around here that'll have some information. I recently did a live with Chris Sisson, who is one of my favorite turners, and he is the best turner that I know in terms of getting good finishes out of OB Shine Juice. So I would recommend heading over there. We go into a lot more detail than the scope of this video will allow. Now, one thing worth mentioning, this does have boiled linseed oil in it, which is a polymerized oil, which means that it can spontaneously combust. So please observe smart rag disposal procedures. I know I just gave a whole spiel about how it's better to use mineral oil for this purpose, but I think that this is the easiest way for a new turner to get a super high gloss finish. So, please do your research, please make sure that you are disposing of any oil-soaked rags properly. Trust me, nothing that you're turning in your first couple of years is worth burning your house down over. So that's it, my 3 picks for the easiest finishes for new wood turners. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have found this video helpful, please do me a huge favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. I post all the stuff that I turn on my Instagram if you want to join me over there, and I also started a Discord where a bunch of turners get together, share their work, and share their thoughts every week. I'm Brad, this is Q Branch Woodworks, you are awesome, see you on the next video.